Hi, hello, and welcome to my August TBR. So the last time I did a TBR video was in June, and that was my classics that I wanted to cover, and I only read one. So this is a bigger stack of books that I have for this video, but my goal is to actually get to all of them, especially because some of them are relatively short, and you will see. So August is actually the month of women in translation. So these are all novels or novellas written by women translated into English. I like to say I think I have a pretty well-rounded collection, maybe a little bit leaning towards Europe, but there is Latin America here as well. So let's get started. These are the women in translation that I have chosen for my August TBR. So the first book that I have is We Were Forbidden by Jacqueline Hartman, and this was written in Belgian, and this is actually the very first time that this book or that these three novellas were translated in English or are translated in English. These novellas, the first works by Jacqueline Hartman to arrive in English in decades, reveal her incredibly stylistic range and demonstrate once more her penetrating psychological insight. Here we find the origins of a singular, relentless voice. And one of the main reasons why I picked up this book is because I actually have already read Jacqueline Hartman. She wrote I Who Have Never Known Men, and I personally really enjoyed that book. I really liked it, and when I saw that there was another book out there that she wrote, I wanted to pick it up and continue reading her writing. I know that I Who Have Never Known Men is actually pretty divisive. A lot of people, there are two sides and you have to be in one of them. I personally really liked it, even though I can see why other people don't necessarily like it. And I'm excited to dive into these novellas and see where and how it compares to I Who Have Never Known Men. I don't know where I'm gonna start in this pile. This is in no particular order of like my actual reading order, except for a specific trilogy situation. But yes, this is the first book in my actual stack. The next book that I have is a work of Spanish translation, and that is The Unworthy by Agustina Basterica. I don't know why I don't know how to pronounce this name. And if I'm not mistaken, this is Argentinian? Yeah, Buenos Aires. This is Argentinian, and it is translated into English, of course. And this is from the author of Tender is the Flesh. I personally have never read Tender is the Flesh, but knowing what both are about, this one felt more up my alley. So I kind of wanted to read this one first before I decided to try reading Tender is the Flesh, even though that one is also pretty divisive, but I like to make my own judgments. Anyways, so this is about, from her cell in a mysterious convent, cloistered away from the climate catastrophe that has plunged the world into chaos, a woman writes the story of her life in whatever she can find. Discarded ink, dirt, and even her own blood. A lower member of the sacred sisterhood, deemed an unworthy, she dreams of ascending to the ranks of the enlightened at the center of the convent and of pleasing the forbidden superior sister. But when a strange newcomer joins the ranks of the unworthy, the narrator is forced to consider her long-buried past. As she grows closer to the newcomer, she is increasingly haunted by questions that she can no longer ignore. How did she get to the sacred sisterhood? Why can't she remember her life before? And what really happens when a woman is chosen to be enlightened? I really like religious themes, and the fact that this is based on nuns in a convent really drew my attention more than Tender is the Flesh. So I'm really excited to dive into this author and see whether I like her writing or not. Quick side note, I know nothing about these books, even if they are talked about in the book sphere. And by Booksphere, I mean like booktube, book talk, book Instagram and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really in it as much as I want to be part of it. Anyways, and then this next book is actually a well-known author in my side of the book sphere, specifically with the YouTuber Melissa, who I will post up here. And that is Magda Szabo. And she is, I think, Hungarian. So she is a Hungarian writer translated into English, and this is The Door. I have Abigail, and a lot of people do start with Abigail. However, I heard that that was set in December, so I kind of want to read that at that time. This one, however, I don't know when it's set, so I think I'm going to dive into it first. And this would be my first Magda Szabo. And I'm excited because I've heard really good things about her actual writing. Magda is a writer, educated, married to an academic, public-spirited, with an on-again, off-again relationship to Hungary's communist authorities. Emerence is a peasant, illiterate, impassive, abrupt, seemingly ageless. She lives alone in a house that no one else may enter, not even her closest relatives. She is Magda's housekeeper, and she has taken control over Magda's household, becoming indispensable to her. And Emerence, in her way, has come to depend on Magda. They share a kind of love, at least until Magda's long-sought success as a writer leads to a devastating revelation. Len Rick's prize-winning translation of The Door at last makes it possible for American readers to appreciate the masterwork of a major modern European writer. So I'm actually really excited to dive into this book. I've heard really good things about it, and yeah, that is The Door by Magda Szabo. So I'm actually going to introduce these next three books together because they are an accidental trilogy, or I guess you could say these are novellas. But they are an accidental trilogy, and that is the three works by Ariana Juarez. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. And this is another Argentinian author, so again, that is Spanish translated into English. And the trilogy is Die My Love, Tender, and Feeble-Minded. Right? No, sorry. Feeble-Minded and then Tender would be the third book. And these are an accidental trilogy that follow three mothers and their children and the complex dynamics of their relationships. Spoiler alert. I'm actually planning on doing a whole reading vlog on this trilogy just because I feel like that will be really fun. And maybe at the end of it, I will actually watch the movie Die My Love. I've been wanting to watch that movie, so this would be like a really good way to like wrap up that reading vlog. But we'll see. I am planning on making this a completely separate reading vlog, so stay tuned for that if you want to hear my thoughts on this accidental trilogy. These next three books are by the same author as well. They're not a trilogy, they're just by the same author. And that is Clarice Lispector. I don't think I've mentioned this recently in any of my vlogs, but I've actually have read a lot of Clarice Lispector. She is one of my favorite authors. I have really, really liked every single book that I've read from her. Two at the moment are sitting on my favorites shelf, but I do know that I owe The Possession of G.H. a reread because that book has been low-key haunting me, and it wasn't a favorite at first, but I think it might be. Usually when a book haunts me, I tend to reread it and I tend to really like it at the end to put it on my favorite shelf. So there's that. So these are the three books that I have for Clarice Lispector. The first book, I usually get paperbacks and I usually get like Penguin copies or the other copies that are out there, but I actually bought this book in Venice. And that is The Imitation of the Rose. And I think these are short stories. The next book is The Besieged City. I think this is one of the few that actually have like a specific plot, while others are very more introspective around events as I would like to put it. And this one is about Lucrecia Neves, a vain, unreflective, insolent, superficial, almost mute. She may have no inner life at all. She morphs from small-town girl to worldly wife of a rich man, and her small hometown surrenders to the forces of progress. Lucrecia seeks perfection, to be an object, serene, smooth, beyond the burden of words or even thought itself. A book that obsessed its author. The besieged city is unlike any other work in Lispector's canon, a story of transformation of what it means to see and to be seen. Preciosa, hermosa, preciosa, hermosa, oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry about that. I am back. The last Clarice Lispector book that I have in this pile is A Breath of Life. And this is actually her final novel that wasn't able to be published. And this is the first time that it's been published in English. After Lispector's death, a mountain of fragments remain to be structured by a trusted friend. The eccentric and glorious result, a mystical meditation on creation and death, in which a man, a thinly disguised Clarice Lispector, infuses the breath of life into his creation, forms a dialogue between the godlike author and the speaking, breathing, dying creature herself, Angela Pralini. So this one really interests me, especially because it's her last book and it was fragmented. I think also Agua Viva was one of the books that was like lately published or something like that. And now that I think about it, I don't think I ever actually read Agua Viva, but I just for some reason don't have it in my TBR shelf. So I will probably add that to this stack as well. But we'll see, because again, I don't have it on my TBR shelf and I don't know where it is. So those were the 3 Clarice Lispector books that I have left of her work to read. These next 3 books, they're not from the same authors, but they are translated from the same language, and that is French. And the first book from the French translations that I have here is Dogs of Summer by Andrea Abruz, je pense. And this is set in 2005 in a high near the volcano of northern Tenerife. An endless ceiling of cloud cover traps the working class in an abject, oppressive heat. Far away from the island's posh resorts, 2 girls dream of hitching a ride down to the beach and escaping their horizonless town. Reminiscent of Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend, but with a sound and flavor of its very own, Dogs of Summer is a story of exquisite yearning and a friendship that simmers into painful sexual awakening over the course of one hot summer. The next book that I have is Bonjour Tristesse. Again, this is one that I've known for a while. I just haven't had the chance to pick it up, and now I am forcing myself to pick it up. Endearing, self-absorbed 17-year-old Cecile is the very essence of untroubled immorality. Freed from the stifling constraints of boarding school, she joins her father, a handsome, still young widower with a wandering eye, for a carefree 2-month summer vacation in a beautiful villa outside of Paris with his latest mistress, Elsa. Cecile cherishes the free-spirited moments she and her father share while plotting her own sexual adventures with a tall and almost beautiful law student. But the arrival of her late mother's best friend, Anne, intrudes upon a young girl's pleasures. And when a relationship begins to develop between the adults, Cecile and her lover set in motion a plan to keep them apart with tragic, unexpected consequences. The internationally beloved story of a precious teenager's attempts to understand and control the world around her, Francois Sagon's Bonjour Tristesse is a beautifully composed, wonderfully ambiguous celebration of sexual liberation, at once sympathetic and powerfully unsparing. And the last French novel that I have is actually one that is also very popular, and I'm finally forcing myself to get to reading these. And that is The Destroyed Woman by Simone de Beauvoir. Simone de Beauvoir draws us into the lives of 3 women, all past their first youth, all facing unexpected crises. Enthralling as fiction, suffused with de Beauvoir's remarkable insights into women, The Woman Destroyed The Woman Destroyed gives us a legendary writer at her best. And speaking of Elena Ferrante, that she is actually the author of the next book that I have, and she is translated from Italian to English. But I don't have My Brilliant Friend, I have The Lying Life of Adults. One of the main reasons why I decided to pick up this one instead of My Brilliant Friend is because that one is a quartet, and I don't want to get into a series just yet, especially if I don't like it. And if I like it, I want to be able to read, I don't know. I don't want to get into a series, and so I decided to pick up The Lying Life of Adults first. This one also had a premise that interested me more than My Brilliant Friend. The Lying Life of Adults, in this powerful new novel, 14-year-old Giovanna is searching for her reflection in two kindred cities that fear and detest one another. Naples of the Heights, which wears a mask of refinement, and Naples of the Depths, a place of carnality and passion, where her guide is the unforgettable Aunt Vittoria. So I actually forgot that I had two other books that I wanted to actually read for Women's and Translation Month. And the next book that is also translated from Italian to English is Lies and Sorcery by Elsa Morante. And this is a generational story that follows the women of a specific family raised by fallen women in the grand tradition of Stendhal, Tolstoy, and Proust, spanning the lives of three generations of wildly eccentric women. I love a generational story, and this one I've had my eye on this one for a really long time, so I decided I feel like this would be the perfect time to try to read it as well, even though she is pretty chunky. And then the last book is from India, so it's translated from Punjabi, I think. The book that I'm trying to read is Tomb of Sand by Gitanjali Sri, and this follows an 80-year-old woman who slips into a deep depression at the death of her husband, then resurfaces to gain a new lease on life. Her determination to fly in the face of convention, including striking up a friendship with a Hijra person, confuses her bohemian daughter, who is used to thinking of herself as the more modern of the two. Rather than respond to tragedy with seriousness, Gitanjali Shiri's playful tone and exuberant wordplay results in a book that is engaging, funny, and utterly original, at the same time as being an urgent and timely protest against the destructive impact of borders and boundaries, whether between religions, countries, or genders. I think a Hijra person is trans in Indian, because that I know of. The story is like an adventure story between an old woman and a trans woman. So yeah, so I've also have heard of this one for like a really long time. So now that I finally have it, I'm actually really excited to read it. My goal is to try to get to all 15 books by the end of the month, and that's doable. I think I've read 10 books in 1 month, and that was because I was busy in the first half of the month and squeezed in all 10 books at the very end. So if I read these from the very beginning, today's literally August 1st, so if I read these from the very beginning to the very end, I think I will be able to actually read my entire TBR list, and I hope that is possible. I hope that is doable, especially because we do start school this month. But yeah, we'll see. Stay tuned. So that is the end of this video. If you've read any of these books, please let me know. No spoilers, but please let me know if you liked any of them, if I should prioritize one over the other. And if you are curious to see and hear my thoughts, please consider subscribing. If you made it all the way to this video, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please like it. And if you are wanting to see more, please consider subscribing. I try to post a video every week, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.